Hey, everybody. Sorry, I was breaking up the booklet there. So I hope you had a good class over the weekend. It's really about calming the agitation that happens from abandonment. And I think as we were exploring it, and I was telling a lot of my embarrassing stories, um, I think it's helpful to kind of delve into the impact that abandonment has and just how much, like even a lot of times what we call stress is probably more abandonment than it is stress. Because if you think most stress is the stress of displacement, right? So you're pushed out of some sort of comfortable situation. And in that, there's that drive of got to fit into the herd, got to fit into whatever, got to. So even when you're doing well and succeeding, there's always a little bit of low grade, still got to fit in the herd. And I need to not step out of the box too much. And so, abandonment is a very root issue. It's not that do I have it, it's like how bad is it. And so anyway, enough of me talking. Let's go ahead and share experiences or ask questions. And if not, maybe we'll do a little practice. So let's see how we're doing.
And remember, class specific.
Yeah.
So any questions, any shares you have, you can unmute yourself, you can raise your hand, you can type into the chat. Maybe everyone just wants to practice.
Okay. No shares or questions.
Yes, for practice, I got.
Yeah. So you remember, like, as we went through and we were doing each segment, we kind of ended with the splendor and doing the four quadrants of the splendor. And so even if you just wanted to do some like quick little tune-ups or quick little maintenance, I mean, even if you just simply did the four quadrants with splendor, it would help. But each segment we were kind of going through and doing some unwinding for some particular issues. And I'm going to say, let's do the section with on page 2 with helichrysum. You can use helichrysum, you can use trauma relief. I think like a B or C choice if you didn't have helichrysum. You could do marjoram maybe. Impapo would work. I know there was a couple people I think wanted to use Impapo.
Would that be
That would be probably on par with helichrysum.
okay?
Yeah, like I mean, it's in the helichrysum family, but that doesn't always translate. But here it definitely translates. So. And we're going to go through and basically this process is to release the homeostatic emotion, like lower emotion, like the triggered emotion. Like how you get a little upset, you get a little angry, you get a little resentful, you get a little afraid, like low grade, like that's what this is for. And so I did this process with the helichrysm um, about an hour ago. Like I just made an hour and a half ago now. Like right before I went on to the start thing, I went through and just fired through my little process. And it's just nice to do from time to time to go through and clean up the agitation that could potentially come through. And so, it wasn't we had a like everybody's saying today has been a really weird day. And we didn't have anything bad happen. It was just a hard day to get stuff done today. Like sometimes you just have one of those weird days. Uh, like everything I touched, it needed 5 extra steps. Like, it was one of those days. So I was fleshing it out, if you know what I mean. So you have your helichrysum. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the front solar plexus. Your awareness is on the front solar. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the front solar. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then your awareness is on the back solar, the mid back area, below your shoulder blades. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then your awareness is on your lungs. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on your lungs. And then your awareness is down on the liver, right hand side below your ribs. Now you're going to go to your midline, a couple inches off to the right, and still below your ribs. So to your midline, a couple inches to the right of your midline, below your ribs. This will impact the gallbladder area. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths.
Mhm.
Your awareness is on the kidneys. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness on the kidneys. And then your awareness is on the spleen. Left hand side of your body, below the ribs. And then your awareness is on the front heart. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the front heart. Just be still. Just be still. Be aware. Just let go. You're going to be using the same oil. We're going to do application 2. Begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the bottom of your tailbone. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on the bottom of the tailbone and the spleen at the same time. Your spleen is on the left-hand side below your ribs. So the bottom of the tailbone and the spleen at the same time. Your awareness is on just the spleen. Your awareness is just on the spleen. Just let go for a moment. Just let go. Your awareness is on the spleen. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on the spleen and the low back, which is the backside of your navel, both at the same time. Your awareness is just on the Mengmen, just on the low back area. Just pause and let go. Your awareness is on the low back area, the back side of your navel. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Awareness is on the low back and your crown, the top of your head, both at the same time. Your awareness is just on the crown. You're just letting go. Just let go. Mm. You're just letting go. Check in with your body, your emotions, your thoughts. You could call it abandonment. You could call it body tension. You could call it agitation. Doesn't matter what we call it. It is, this phenomenon. Your awareness is on the crown. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. I'll do a little Q&A. Your awareness is on the crown and 12 inches above your head, approximately. Just kind of put your awareness up above your head about a foot. The crown and a foot above your head, both at the same time. Your awareness is just 12 inches above the head. Did it break? Um, your awareness is 12 inches above your head. Just let go. Just letting go of everything. Just let go. How's this feeling? You're going to pull out your bottle of Splendor For some of you who didn't have the splendor, like mugwort or artemisia would work. Didn't have that, maybe palosanto. But splendor's the ideal choice. Now, we're going to do the 4 quadrants of the aura, right? So we're going to start with the left-hand side. You're inhaling, your awareness is on the left side of your face and neck, your left shoulder, your left ribs, the hip, down the outer leg, all the way to the left outer ankle. Your awareness is on the front side of the body, your face and throat, your chest and abdomen, the front of your pelvis and down the fronts of your legs, all the way to the tops of your feet. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. The right side of your body. From head to ankle, the right side of your body. The whole backside of the body, back of the head and neck, your upper and mid back, your low back and hips, down the backs of your legs, all the way down to your heels. And then just pause and be still. Just pause. Check in with your body. How's your emotions and your thoughts? Feels kind of nice, huh? So let's go again and share experiences or ask questions. You can unmute yourself or type in.
Go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey, Greg. So this section 2 here is about cleaning up agitation. If we have a
Well,
particular,
it's all cleaning up agitation, but this is very specific to like what you would call homeostatic emotion or physiological emotion, lower emotion, however you want to call it. It's
okay,
about fleshing out the emotion. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So if we have a particular issue,
Mhm.
is this the segment we go to and run through this
Yeah,
process?
like all of it will help, but if you want to target like specifically like working emotion, what you could do is like this is just like a real kind of general way to flesh things out, but how you
Mhm.
could make it a little bit more specific is sit and reflect on the issue, like the past event or whatever it might be.
Right.
Reflect on it with awareness on the heart for just a little bit, like a couple minutes maybe, and then let it go, and then just do a flush. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Good.
Because the thing is, a lot of what we call emotion, I always say it's homeostatic or is physiological. A lot of it is can get stuck in the skeletal muscle, like in your fascia and skeletal muscle. That's why, sometimes we talk about like, oh, a very deep release is comes out of the spine. And in mystical practices, the mind is not just the brain, but it's also the spine. And it's because there is this influence that the body has on the mental processes. So when you look at like things in the tissue, like when we look at like what's the vibration of the person, or what's physicalizing or somaticizing. You look at, there's a physical component, there's an emotional component, and there's a mental component in any condition, and all the tissues, like all of it, they're all three there. And so that is the principle of spadry. You're treating all three at the same time. You're treating physical, emotional, mental. And so like here, you're going through and you're fleshing things out, but even if you took like the helichrysum, and you know how we do that practice where you go, okay, you think of something and then where do you feel it in your body, right? So for one, you're training your mind and your emotions to not be as reactive and to be able to sit and be present with something. But also what you're starting to do is you're starting to flesh out some of that mental, emotional, physical stuff that's stuck in the body. You're actually starting to flush some of that out. And so I even like the idea of um how you sit and reflect on the situation, and then you hold it in your heart. I do versions of it sometimes where it, I reflect on the situation, and then I do that thing where we practice a whole bunch where you go and you go, okay, where do I feel it in my body? Where do I feel it in my jaws? Do I feel it in? And it's not always where you would think. A lot of times for me, I feel it in my hamstrings. I'll feel it on my hamstrings. I'll feel it like on the sides of my legs, and it's things that like there's no rhyme or reason why it's there, right? But just because of like how those things get generated, and how your mind works, and it just gets thrown in different places. And so you can always take it a little bit deeper by going into the tissue of the body, the tissues.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And,
So,
and and then still follow the process, how, especially that first part where it's the organs of blood purification, the front back solar plexus, because you're just trying to flesh out whatever's there. And then do the organs of blood purification. And depending on how you approach that, you can approach lower emotion, or you can approach like behavior, but like behavior is more about instinctual responses.
mhm,
So if you were to target instinctual responses, you could use something more like poplar. Poplar would go through and work that behavioral component. But there's different ways of working that stuff. And so that's just one of the ways that you could work
okay.
it. Yeah.
So on the number two part where we're going crown and then 12 inches above the head. Um, so I go through this, I have an upset, I think about the upset, hold it in my heart, go through the process. Number one, number two, number three. Now I've released it to the higher self by step 9 of number two. So
Mhm.
I've taken it 12 inches above the head.
Mhm. Right.
To
Well, it's
what?
registering as lesson learned.
Okay.
Because that's
All
part
right.
of what you're doing
Yeah.
here is you're tapping into intuition, and intuition is how we get out of these things that have been going on for most of our lives or whatever. Is we if we learn the lesson, it goes up as lesson learned. So you're just kind of stimulating the pathway for lesson learned. I don't want to keep doing this over and over again.
Okay. So is it that I've completely learned the lesson, or is it that I've learned part of the lesson because,
It depends. Yeah, it depends.
yeah.
Yeah. Like it
Okay.
depends, like little things I'd say, oh yeah, you got it. But big ones,
We
you
may
got to
we
chip
may need
away
to
at it for a little
we
bit.
may
Yeah.
need to go through a couple of reps of this
Right. Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
And like with that, because the counter to that is behavior. Like here we're
Mhm.
fleshing out emotions, but sometimes you might flesh it out, but the behavior is still ingrained with behaving in such a way, because behavior is very automatic. Like we don't
Mhm.
necessarily go, I'm going to behave like this.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do, but then as soon as we're in the situation, we start behaving like
Yeah.
towards our old pattern. And so it's really
Right.
tied more to instinct. And
Mhm.
so the deeper dive on it is to go and address behaviors, because the behavior, which is your instinctual responses, are part of what's generating some of that. And so the second piece where you go basic and then spleen and then Ming Men and
Right.
that's actually tapping into the behavior somewhat. the behavior or the defensive mechanisms are more in the basic chakra. Then when you get up to the spleen, that's unconscious desire. And then with the Ming Men, you're starting to establish some sort of like order, or you're transmuting. But from there, the Ming Men, we know that it moves energy up, right? We know that it moves energy up to the back heart. We know that it moves it up to the crown and transmutes. But also what the Ming Men does is it can potentially lower it down into the sex chakra and into the basic, where it brings something into form. And so the reason why you're going through and doing this is you're manually taking whatever the issue is, and you're going, look, don't materialize this pattern. I want to
Yeah.
it up. I want to move it up. And so
Mhm.
you're kind of manually going through and moving it upwards, with the idea that if you create enough of a pathway, that when that particular behavior comes up, that it starts to transmute, rather than dropping into, this is what I always do. This is I do what I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we want to knock that off, you know.
Okay.
There's some things where it's good that we do what we do, but there's some things where like, God, how do I stop this?
Yeah.
It's like a runaway freight train.
I'm tired of the insane kangaroo driving the bus. We got to do something
Right.
different. Okay. Good. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And go ahead, Barbara.
Hey, Barbara.
Hey there. Hey,
Hey.
everyone. I have written on the bottom of this page, because someone asked you if you would use a mantra with this, and you said Tara. Is
Yes.
that for the helichrysum, or is that for this entire process?
That's a good question. I think you could use it for the whole thing. You definitely could use the mudra for the whole thing. That's the thing that we kind of explored, where you do that mudra like this, like this and this, but they're intertwined, and then you
Right.
hold it there. That could be all of them. But sometimes with like going back to what we were talking about with Ralph, like with the behavior component, um the mantra for Rama is can be a little bit better sometimes. Like the thing with Tara is the mantra for Tara. It's very good for cleaning up the emotions and what potentially turns into like a psychosomatic kind of feeling or something. But it's very good for just fleshing out the homeostatic emotions. But like when you start digging into the behavior, I mean, it's still possible with Tara, but like sometimes just going to like a root mantra of just Om Rama Om. Um, you can stick a Namo or Nama in there. Om Nama Rama Om. You could do that. Um, I usually keep it really simple, because the power in that particular mantra is just Rama. Like the and to take it further, going Ra and then Ma, separating the two. That will have a big impact on the behavior. Like it's kind of interesting sometimes in certain circles, they'll talk about how healing Rama is, but if you start asking like, what does it do, everybody gets really tight-lipped. And I don't know why, but it's very purifying to the lower centers, and it's very purifying to, like, this is going to sound weird, but like sometimes we abandon our higher nature. We kind of throw the higher nature to the wind, and we're going, I'm just doing this lower thing. And the higher nature is still there, but we're driven more by our biology. And part of that is a connection to the earth, or that area below your feet. And what happens when we kind of like turn our back on the higher nature is we're very driven by like animal impulses, you know, because it's the realm of that animalistic nature. And so Rama kind of pulls you out of that animalistic nature. Like even just saying Ra will do it. You know, the idea of in the Egyptian tradition where they say Amen Ra, like that mantra like that was to be able to pull somebody out of that realm below your feet. You know, they would refer to it as the depths of hell, but it's just you know, whatever realm you kind of identify with or cultivate through your actions and behaviors is where the energy, you know, you're drawing the energy from in the earth. And so, you know, we all kind of have that animalistic nature at first, but the idea of saying like or amen or so be it, or you know, whom, whatever version of that, you're releasing light down below your feet and you're trying to penetrate through that animalistic realm into a deeper realm that is like where the saints and the yogis and you know the lamas and you know all the souls of these you know the more refined beings, that's the realm of where they're at. And so the more that we tap into that, it kind of changes our physiology, our emotions, and our mind. And so fleshing out the emotion, Tara is strong. Like doing that with Tara, you could do it with Tara, but you would need to like visualize most likely with red Tara. Like, so you could sit and just hold the image of red Tara in your mind and then chant the same mantra. That would do it. Or a simpler way is to do Om Rama Om.
Particularly for those of us who can't visualize.
Yeah, like, well, for me, even, you know, because, you know, if you see red Tara, like there's several beans that are red like that. And so a lot of times what I do is I have to look at the image for a while because, you know, I'm right there with you. Like I can't visualize, but I can remember. Right. So like I'll sit and I'll look at the image for a while. And then when I close my eyes, I can remember the image. And so that's the way that I get around it. But, you know, that's we're not alone there. Like that, you know, that's a very common thing. That's why there's tonkas and statues and things like that, is so you can sit and stare at it. And then if you stare at it enough, it's kind of burned in your mind. And then when you close your eyes, it's there. And so I would just lean into it. I'd find, you know, some image of, you know, red Tara, or if you wanted, and you could do that. But the easy way is just to do Rama.
And would you use the poplar balsam with the same
Yeah.
age of the
So
protocol and
you would
Rama
do same exact protocol, but with poplar. Yeah.
and with Rama?
Right. Right.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. You're so welcome.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Someone's asking, what did Greg say we were addressing if we use poplar balsam?
Behavior and instinctive responses. Yeah. I mean, that was a little bit deeper. I didn't go into that too much over the weekend. But you know, there's a 2.0 class, but we definitely could do a deeper dive into that just with the oils that we had. But even like the class that's coming up this weekend, we are doing a deeper dive. We're just using blends that are very specific for stages of how you process and things like that. And so you know, there's always different ways that you can approach these things. And so, you know, that was just one of the ways you could do it, is also with poplar, you know. Yeah, what we're doing on the weekends a little bit more thorough. But, you know, there's times where you're like, I got 15 minutes. What can I do? Or, you know, I want to be able to do something at the end of the day or something, and just start hitting it. And so that helichrysum poplar thing Sometimes when I want somebody to work that aspect, instead of giving them a whole process, I just have them work with helichrysum and poplar. Right.
Greg, response to situation happens in a fraction of a second. How can we be more aware?
Yeah. So, you know, most times you're not aware until after the fact, right? And so the more that you calm down the instinctive responses, and the more you kind of clean out uh, the lower emotion, it makes it easier for you to be able to be like cognitive or aware as it's happening. Because even if you get a little triggered, you can go, wait, this is happening, right? And so one of the ways that you can calm it down, like after the fact, like sometimes you need to like if especially if you're really getting triggered or you have a startle response, you know, where you kind of like jump even if the stimuli is not very strong, you know, that just means everything's really agitated. And so things like yarrow and dark blue tansy, these are all very good for when you do get that kind of stimulation, when you do get like triggered or you get a little wound up or get agitated, it's a way to like take it down really fast. And so yeah. And what happens if you kind of do that for a while, every time you start to get triggered and you kind of do the yarrow or the dark blue tansy or whatever it might be, is that you start kind of re-educating the behavior so that the response will dissipate and start to kind of like shift and change, you know. But like if you clear it out and you don't really deal with the behavior, it's clean, but it's like you know, like you have a pot that has a crack in it, you know, you could clean it all up and make it real pretty, but every time you put something in it, like it drips, something leaks out a little bit, right? And then you got to clean it up. The goal is to clean that little crack in the pot. The crack in the pot is like our behaviors a lot of times. And I mean, you know, I know I've said this a couple times just now, but behaviors are not something that we choose. Behaviors are conditioned responses that just kind of happen automatically. You know, sometimes we've cultivated some of them, but some of them are byproducts of things that have happened, or you know, pains that we've experienced, or social, you know, awkwardness or anxieties or things that have happened socially, or you know, there's lots of different factors for behaviors. But the more that you temper and calm the behaviors, the which are again is instinctual responses, the more that you change how your body generates these lower emotions.
What's the application with the yarrow or the dark blue tansy?
Couple drops internal. Like you can inhale it or a couple drops internal. I usually do both. I'll put a couple drops in water, drink it, and then sit and inhale it until my body calms down. Yeah. We have a spagyric yarrow that works for that, but I hadn't planned on putting it on the site. It's actually going to be in the new class at the beginning of September, the vibrational healing. It's tied to like unwinding a lot of these things, but it's part of a re-education process that you go through and do when you do the vibrational healing. You're literally changing the vibration of your body. So this is laying like the groundwork for that. And even if you just did this, it would start to change the vibration of your body. But we're going to do a much more accelerated process both this weekend and then on September.
So the person saying still before the 2-weekend memory, which I think you're referring to the memory class, could be wrong, I'll read this whole thing, where I got angry and upset in my mind, it was coming up. What should I do?
So you have a couple choices, and sometimes you kind of have to explore them a little bit. So first off, I would probably target like Melissa. You know, and I know the essential oil is really expensive, but we've made a very potent tincture that's a spagyric tincture that is significantly cheaper. I would try using the Melissa for that. Like over a period of time, you're also tempering some of the aspects of behavior and calming down the mechanisms of the emotions that rise up. And so it's very calming to the nerves. I would try that. And then the other thing that, you know, I'd probably try it after. Yeah, I mean, if you want to do them both at the same time, you could, but sometimes I like to try one at a time just to see what's working, right? Then you would use either yarrow or the dark blue tansy, you know, inhale it. But for those of you that even did like the class with the different colored healers, I mean, think about how your body felt when you put the blue healer on. You know, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling good. You put the blue healer on, you're like, boy, I could go to sleep right now. It's because it's calming down agitation in the body, right? So part of unwinding that being triggered or the startle response or any of that is like just calming the agitation in the body. So the Melissa does it, the yarrow, the dark blue tansy, the blue healer, all those things are addressing those same aspects.
Someone's wondering if German chamomile would be in the mix.
It would be in the mix. I think yarrow works a little bit better in dark blue tansy, but I mean, maybe like 15 or 20% better. Like dark blue German chamomile would work. Yeah. Yeah. Even Cape chamomile and blue cypress, you know, they'll have an impact, but they're not as potent as the yarrow and the dark blue tansy.
And so the person asking the question said, I tried to contact that person, but she has not called me back. Just one message saying, thank you for everything. We had good time with you, did for us.
Yeah. I
It's still like just the processes, the Melissa, the dark blue tansy, just for calming things down
Right.
in us, right?
So that you did that because something got stirred in the memory class, or this was an active situation that you're trying to resolve?
It's active.
I'd work the process then. Yeah.
And I think that's it for the shares and questions. Oh, hang on, no, we got hands raised, but I'm gonna have you go ahead, Letty, then Cindy, and I'll try to get some clarifying here.
Hey, Letty.
Oh, hi, Greg. So just while we were talking about different behaviors, I was just wondering, the lady I'm going to be working with this year, the secretary, just kind of was telling me a little bit about herself, like situations going on with her son. Would any of these pieces actually work for something where like her son's not talking to her, and all this like happened over an event that they were all at the house, and then two little 2-year-olds like kind of were like playing around, and one of them bit the other one, and like the cousins, they bit each other. Well, one of them bit one of them, and then so it turned into a big old thing to where like the son
Right.
said, you know what, we're not going to come back anymore, because I guess he didn't like how the way they handled the situation or something.
Mm. I mean, it would help, but they would have to sit down and be able to do this process, like, you know, trying to do a forum or whatever. Without a person engaging the part about the behavior, it's hard to even do it through, like, even through healing. You know, the person really has to be at least a little bit invested in it. And so, I mean, it would help, but they would have to do the process.
So if their records wouldn't even help like the situation either.
What's that?
If their records wouldn't even help the situation either.
You could try, but I mean, it's hard to tell what the dynamics were Like, that looks like an isolated situation, but stuff's been going on for a while. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say, even if it's not the things about the specific group of people, how they interact. People come to these situations with baggage. You know what I mean? And so it's not always like you can make it just happen just by focusing on that little piece. I mean, you can try, but it doesn't always work.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I thought I'd just ask because
Yeah, I mean,
I feel bad, because I'm thinking like, oh, I
yeah,
know I wouldn't like to be in a situation like that. I mean, that's your
yeah,
son, right? And your son's not talking to you. Like, life's too short. You never know what can happen, right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, you could still try something, but usually prayer and mantra for something like that is what I would do. Just kind of puts a blanket of, healing, soothing energy. You use either Om Mani Padme Hum or the Tara mantra, and then just like you're trying to get a baby to go to sleep. Om Mani Padme, like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if it's something like I teach her, you think like it'd be better if she does it, the mom, or it would have to be like me visualizing both of them and doing that.
No, it'd be better if she did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think she'd be willing to.
Yeah. Yeah. Give it a shot.
Okay. Thank you so much, Greg. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thanks, Sam.
And go ahead, Cindy.
Hey, Cindy.
Hi. I was just curious if you have noticed, you were talking about how this can be settled in the joints. And have you noticed a physical response in the joints once you sort of clear out that, like that stress? And
I would say yes. Like
Yeah,
it seems like you get like more mobility, and it's just easier to get up and move, like that kind of stuff. Like the
yes.
body doesn't feel as heavy. Like so it feels, and you might not even feel heavy until it's gone, and then you go, oh, my body feels lighter, and it's just easier to move, quicker to move, things like that. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Thanks.
Yeah. And just to add something, that when you really feel it in the joints, that actually will stimulate an unconscious fear in the mind. Like anytime joints have, even if it's just heaviness from like emotion and things, but if they're tight, or if they're whatever it is, there's any sort of compromise, it will stimulate a little bit of fear up in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it feeds on each other.
Yeah, so the more that you clear that out, it's like you kind of let go of the fear at the same time. Yeah. Because it's not like it's a thought process of fear. It's just like a little stimuli, like, careful, careful, careful. It's just like a little, like, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. It's like that. You know what I mean?
Oh no, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I see that too in people who are losing their mobility some.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
just
that's a perfect example. Yeah.
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 Okay, thanks.
Very good. Okay, everybody. Well, thanks for hanging out. And I think I see a bunch of you this weekend. And if not, maybe next Tuesday. So take care.